So I just watched Gaspar Noe's newest movie, Climax, and there's quite a lot to talk about. If you aren't familiar with some of Gaspar Noe's work, he directed movies such as Enter the Void and Love. Out of those movies, I have watched Love since that was on Netflix for a short period of time, and I haven't bothered to check if it's still on there, honestly. But it's basically art house porn. If you're interested to see a guy and his girlfriend get into a love triangle in France in about a solid 45 minutes consist of sex scenes, I would highly recommend. I thought it was okay overall, honestly. Then you have Enter the Void, which is probably his best known work to date, which shamefully I haven't watched yet. I know I'm gonna watch it as soon as I'm done with this video. I don't know shit about it, but lately I've seen all this Climax promotion go down in Instagram, and possibly the most advertised A24 I've seen on the app, and which is totally bizarre to me. I don't understand why they chose Instagram. But you know what? I have to thank A24 once again for doing something weird and different, because Climax is exactly that movie. I wouldn't say A24, they kind of just distributed it, but whatever, you get what I'm saying. Gaspar Noe has crafted something that could possibly be his most accessible movie yet, meaning it's a pretty straightforward narrative that I'm sure everybody can follow. The entire movie takes place in this isolated dance studio, and the biggest compliment that I can give to this particular move on the production designer's part is they were able to create this claustrophobic and filthy environment, which eventually plays a huge part for our characters. Although we barely see it in the movie, there's this outside danger of a harsh winter storm going on, forcing everybody to stay within this dance studio. Even though the movie does take its time to get the plot moving forward, we see a montage at the beginning of all of our characters explaining who they are as people, dancers, and even expressing how dance has saved their lives to show each character has their own dreams and aspirations. Eventually, they would have genuine and brilliantly written conversations as the movie unravels them individually, leaving you to decide which are some of the good and bad people of the group. And there wasn't too much of a script to this movie, but whenever these characters are conversing with one another, it's something that you would see adults in their mid-20s and early 30s discussing, whether it be about sex, drugs, future plans, problems of their past, making each person feel organic and unique from one another. Although the cinematography proves to us that it has some of the most impressive dance choreography, mixing both Western and European styles of dance effortlessly and beautifully, because I mean, look at this dance move. Jesus Christ. Or how about this dance move, huh? It's crazy. The camera movements are some of the main highlights of the movie. It has that Emmanuel Lubezki approach in Birdman, where it follows each individual character inside a studio in a series of one long takes, placing the audience in the shoes of these characters. Whether they'll be gossiping about one another, leaving the room for their own personal needs, or grabbing a cup of sangria. Camera is always steady and in focus before all the bizarre shit goes down, and does a very good job establishing the quality of its filmmaking. Then we suddenly reach into a hellish nightmare as these characters witness every dancer is on drugs, creating this confused and violent tension between all of them. Of course, if someone were to give you something that you don't want in your food, you're gonna be pretty pissed, so imagine the levels of anger for some of these people after realizing they took a huge dosage of LSD non-consensually. That's like, super pissed. So all notions of discussing things out and discovering who truly drugged each and every one of them is thrown out the window, as each character has their own experiences with LSD. Some get more violent than others when they have their senses completely heightened and totally fucked, while others don't really care and they take this as an opportunity to have a good time. It perfectly illustrates how someone's good time may be someone else's complete nightmare, and each person's reaction to drugs is completely different. And this being an A24 movie, is gonna focus more on the crazier shit. The cinematography shifts into an out of focus and sometimes blurred out point, with the stylized choice of added film grain to make the viewer feel like we're high with everybody in the dance studio. It's not quite as steady as it used to be and moves in ways where it messes with each and every one of our senses. With the rave and techno soundtrack from the 90s and before, notably from Daft Punk, it manages to make this type of music that's known to be very exciting into the complete opposite of the spectrum. Certain characters begin to react as if they're hearing voices in their heads, as each electronic beat only heightens their high, putting them in a sense of danger. One can argue this is also a horror movie based on the technicality of it alone, but it also brings out the worst of people when taking strong dosages of drugs and hoping that one doesn't go crazy and kill one another. The usage of lighting is all done very masterfully, and it reminded me of Dario Argento's Suspiria, which we saw in the very beginning, and how this influenced Gaspar Noe. It perfectly elevates each character's personal experience. One moment it's green, then the other it's red, and then it's blue. It's just a big visual mindfuck. I would recommend Climax to those who wants to feel a tension-fueled, drug-induced experience. It's definitely not for everybody based on the subject matter that it covers, but I believe there's something in here worth checking out. Gaspar Noe made one of the most interesting experiences I've had in the theater so far in 2019, and I say that in the best way possible. And I give this movie a 3 out of 10 because there was no flossing. What a piece of shit. Thank you guys so much for watching my thoughts on Climax. I know there's going to be a lot of videos like this later on in the future because There's a lot of movies at the end of March that I really wanted to talk about, such as Us, Shazam, and Dumbo, I think. While of course on the side I'm going to be working on passion projects that's probably going to take me a while to get done, but I know that right now I'm working on like 2 or 3 of them. Stay tuned for that, put on your notifications, it's going to be pretty cool. If you guys have seen Climax, don't forget to leave a comment down below to tell me what you thought about the movie. Also, it would really help, and I would really appreciate it if you click the following links right next to me to further support the channel, such as supporting me on Patreon, subscribing of course, and that's all I have for you guys today, and I'll see you guys next time.